I am delighted to be joined today by Tracey Leonard in Galway in work uniform. Tracey, you're at work in the University College Hospital in Galway at the moment. So many thanks for taking the time to talk to us. How are things at the moment, Tracey?
At the moment, Jackie, I think things are going quite well. It seems pretty steady at the minute. So hopefully, I think things are going in the right direction. But it is very hard to know. I suppose it is probably the uncertainty of the unknown for not alone us in here, but I think in the general public and that. But I think we're doing what we can, and I suppose controlling what we can control at the minute. But hopefully, fingers crossed that things stay the way they're going, and hopefully it's looking maybe bright for the future that maybe restrictions may lift a little bit, but it's just very hard to know, I suppose, at the present time.
Tracey, without getting into obviously some of the maybe the more tougher things that you've seen over the last few weeks, but what is life like in a hospital in these times?
Sorry, can you repeat that there again, Jackie?
Sorry, Tracy, I lost you for a second. Without
You're
getting
okay.
into the real specifics, I'm sure you've seen some stuff over the last few weeks. What is life like in a hospital at this point in time?
I suppose it's different to your normal, the normal times. I think in the hospital, things have been a lot busier. I suppose just even the main hospital, I suppose, with visiting restrictions and that. But I think a lot of positives are probably going to come out of this. I think the hospital probably had been too busy up until this. I think visitors. So the way visitors had been in the hospital and that. I think the way they've gone now is quite good, and maybe it's something they probably maybe should have a look at and restricting. I think when people are in hospital, they are sick, they are vulnerable, and I think we probably had a lot of large crowds coming into the hospital that possibly maybe didn't need to be in. So maybe I said it's something that they can look at. I suppose it's different times in the hospital, even traffic wise and parking wise is another kind of thing that it's not as busy in around the hospital, and coming into work is that bit easier coming in traffic wise. So again, it's probably something that governments may look at, because traffic in Galway was one big massive
Hmm.
issue that was in Galway. So again, it's something that I think a lot of companies of people that can work from home are working from home. But in and around the hospital, I suppose it is pretty calm at the minute. But as I said, it's I think people that are not in the hospital that have been asked to stay at home, I think it's quite important that they keep that. While it might be quite hard, I think that the next few weeks we really need to kind of follow by the rules, and social distancing, and keeping that 2 meters apart. And that I think we really need to kind of keep that going for the next bit, to just get over, I think, the next few weeks and that.
Okay, Tracy, what's your kind of schedule been like recently? Are you on days and nights or a mixture of both? How are you managing everything?
No, I'm still at the minute. I'm still doing my usual Monday to Friday work. Now I suppose my daily routine is probably a bit different, as in the clinics that we usually would have ran there have all been cancelled. So I'm actually out testing. So we do morning and afternoon clinics where we test HSE staff for the virus. So it's a little bit of a different skill set, but I think in times like this, it's great to be learning something new. Ideally, I suppose, not being tested for the virus, but you like a new challenge in life. So this is something new for me, and it's in at the minute it's I won't say enjoyable, but for the time that it lasts, it's great, I suppose, to be of use, and to be helping out, I suppose, staff that we can test in a timely manner, and that the results are getting back to them a bit quicker, so that they can return to work and, I suppose, provide the
Absolutely.
service that they're needed in the hospital.
You're safe and well yourself, Tracy.
Yeah, thank God, touch wood. I think our facilities here in the hospital are very good. I suppose you have your alcohol gels, and we're well kitted out with the personal protective equipment. And we've a showering facility here. So, I'm just adhering to all that kind of stuff, especially when I'm going home in the evenings to my family. And, you're just conscious of not wanting to bring home anything or spread anything. So I suppose them few bits are high on my agenda at the minute. Just, I suppose, to control everything I can control, and I suppose not spread anything that doesn't need to be spread.
Yeah, I really wanted to touch base with you, Tracy, to see how you were doing, because I knew you were right at the front line, and you spoke to our reporter Declan Rooney about it not so long ago. You might have seen, since, you know, we spoke to Siobhan Colleen, who's working in the Mater. We spoke to Marion McGuinness, who's working in and back to work in Cavan General Hospital, both of who contracted the virus but have now thankfully recovered from it. So there are some desperately sad stories of people who obviously get the virus and don't survive, but there's a high recovery rate as well, Tracy.
There is, for sure. But I suppose, there's a lot of stuff that we can do, I suppose, before, to prevent it. As they
Yeah.
often say, prevention is better than cure. And I suppose that's going to come as a collective, for the whole population, and that. And it's not going to come down to just being by the rules. And I think maybe in the last week or so now, I've kind of just even seen on the roads coming to from work that the roads getting a little bit busier. So I don't know whether people are kind of, I know it's probably easier for me to say, but people that are at home are probably getting a bit antsy. But I think it's quite important that people are obeying that, and I suppose not going meeting up with friends and that, and going out outside their 2 kilometers. So I think it's just quite important that to help everyone, the general public, and I suppose even our older generations and them that are a bit more vulnerable, that we need to hold them restrictions as much as we can, so that we can prevent the spread of it. And it's at the end of the day, it's going to come down to us individuals, and everyone like doing what they can do. And it's within our hands. And I think it's not a lot to ask of people that this is not going to go on forever, but for while it is at the minute, we just need to obey stuff and do what we're told.
Yeah, I was going to. You've preempted my next question, Tracy. Do you think that people are getting a little bit complacent? Because I've seen it out and about, and I'm going for a run most days, and I see people in pairs and I see people in groups, and it worries me a little bit. Whereas, we're here, we're doing our best, we're doing the social distancing, washing our hands, keeping the kids at home, which is tough on them. So from somebody at the front line, and you guys are the real heroes in this. We've our part to play. You've a much bigger part to play in all of this, and doing a terrific job. Do you think that the general public we've been good, I suppose, so far, but are we doing enough, Tracy? And as you say, you're maybe hinting at a little bit of complacency that might be setting in there.
Yeah, and look, as I say again, it's probably easier for me that's still in routine and I'm going to work and coming home from work. I know if I was someone at home and you can't go, you're restricted in your movements and that. But I really think, it's not a lot to ask, and we have to help, or as I said there, we have to help our older population, and those that are more vulnerable, they're most susceptible to it. So I think it's just, I think we really need to kind of, work on this together and pull together. And it's, as I said, it's not a thing that's going to go on for too long, hopefully. And I think, I know the weather is good and it's probably not helping in a sense of the weather being so fine. People want to be out and about, but there is so much that you can do in your own patch at home. And we have given the distance of 2K. There is a lot that you can do in that. And I know it calls for a lot of probably using your own initiative at home. And I know a lot of probably sports people are itching and scratching and wondering what are you meant to be doing, and coming up with new ideas and that. But I just think it's just, I do see the complacency a little bit in the last week. And I just hope that maybe from next week, I know people are on about restrictions being lifted, but I just think people really need to pull together and just be one united front. And I think we just need to do all we can, I suppose, for these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, how much are you missing football? Because last weekend would have been our league finals weekend in an ideal world, and you guys were motoring pretty well towards the top of the table as well.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, and I suppose look, things were going well, but it's funny, I suppose, when this kind of pandemic had hit, I suppose, and it has put the world to a halt. I suppose you just kind of reflect on things, and I suppose things that were so important to us, like I suppose many sports people will echo what I say. Sport was everything, and it was all we ever thought of. But it's funny, I suppose, when it's football has stopped and that, I suppose you realise, that there's probably more important things out there than sport. And I thought I'd never probably say that, but it's just when you're here in the hospital and you just see, visiting restrictions for people that are in hospital and loved ones that may have to die alone because of the virus. And it's just, it puts life into perspective that I suppose there are always people out there that are suffering a lot more than you are. And when this, I suppose, when this lifts and when we return back to sport, hopefully that I think you'll appreciate being able to go to trains in the evening and go and that you are actually healthy and are able to train. I think it's probably something that we probably took for granted, but I miss the crack, and it's not the same training on your own. Collectively you're missing out on the bit of crack, and like even when you're running on your own or doing your own bit at home, you just don't know where you are in relation to other girls. And I suppose it's a big difference. Match fitness is very different to like doing running and doing gym, and it's miles apart. And nothing, I suppose, will ever make up for that ground. But yeah, no, definitely I'm missing it. But I suppose at the minute it's just sitting and waiting and seeing what's going to unfold.
How are you keeping yourself taken over, Tracey?
I suppose we're lucky enough in a sense of probably most teams with strength conditioning coaches keeping uploading different running programs and that. And I suppose I'm blessed as well that I'm living in the countryside, so we have a lot of pitches or green area around us that we can get that running done. But again, I said it's very different to run in a group. It's good for my mental health in a sense of when I get out of work here in the evenings, it's great to be able to go for a run and that. Then gym wise, I suppose we had kind of converted the garage a little bit, so we kind of had to kind of refurbish that again and take out the bits that we kind of put away. And I suppose it goes back to probably using probably your own head in a sense of when you go training, usually the training session is set out for you, whereas now you kind of have to think a little bit. And look, it's no harm, as I said, I think you'll appreciate again when we go back on the training field that when you go training, that has said the training is set out for you and you'll go and do it. But no, I'm keeping well and keeping the head ticking over, because as I said, it's I think from a mental point of view, it's good to be able to go out and do a bit of a workout.
You're getting used to the technology, as you say. Are you into the Zoom and the house parties and and all of these various things?
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't have been a techie person at all, and I suppose this has really brought out this kind of skills in me. But it was even great. The Zoom is great, and you can keep checked in with the friends. I suppose we've been so used to meeting up at trainings or meeting up on days off, and it's very different now because you don't see anyone. But with this Zoom, it's great because at least you can see people's faces and check in without even going home. But it's something that I even came into my head the other day that I suppose we do go to a lot of training sessions, and then we might have other days where it might be like nutrition talk or sports psychology talk. And it even just entered my head as in, we bring in girls from different parts of Galway to an area, I suppose, to have a talk that could be done in a room. It's just something that I even thought of that, this may actually change the way we go about these things. That it's maybe something that you could look at, maybe that it could be done over a Zoom call, and it should, I suppose, reduce first of all people, I suppose, on the roads, and bringing people from all different angles of Galway, that maybe it's something that maybe we could look at further down the line. But it was just, I suppose, something I was thinking of driving into work on one morning.
Yeah, I mean, I negotiate my way around Dublin traffic now on a regular basis, Tracey, and I've been to Galway a few times, and it's not great there on rush hours either.
No, it isn't. It's just mad the way, I'm leaving near the guts of a half an hour, if not 40 minutes later in the morning, and getting home within the 30 minutes. Like it's a dream come true, really. And I thought you'd never see the day that would happen. Unfortunately, I suppose it is due to a worldwide pandemic. But as I said, it's just something, I suppose, that when the world is hit with such a pandemic, that it's amazing how businesses have looked at people working from home, and you'd hope it's something that maybe businesses could look at and may reduce the traffic here in Galway. But it has been such a relief, I suppose. You're getting that extra sleep in the morning and that, but as it, unfortunately, it is due to a virus. Maybe you would prefer the traffic and not have the virus, but look, I suppose it is what it is at the minute.
Tracey, it's great to hear from you, and it's great to see that you're doing so well. And I think the role that you and your colleagues and all of the frontline workers are playing is absolutely terrific. So I want to thank you for talking to us today, Tracey, and stay safe, and we'll see you back doing your thing on the playing fields real soon, please God.
Not at all, Jackie. Thanks very much.
Take care, Tracey.
Bye.